Hey, Laura J. On my way home from another home, away from home. Because home is wherever I am. And so even if I don't look as fantastic as I might wish to in this moment, I choose to come here to share what I believe to be some of the most important information that you could possibly come across today. Are you ready? I want to talk to you about the double booking accounting system that is used by the cabal. Ka being energy and Ba being body. So I want to actually start to differentiate between vitalism and materialism as well, which means what is vital is what is necessary, what is required, what is proper. Properia persona, first person office of man with capacity and competence, very key. What we are actually doing when we return to the double booking accounting system that I have been putting so much of my energy into understanding, because I'm not trained in this, I'm not qualified, and I am certainly not certified nor certifiable, because I see that when you give me a certificate that gives me a title to work with, then I am bound to the box that position or opportunity permits. And when you've got permits, you got multiple mitts waiting to be paid. That's because we've still been under a feudal, manorial system. I don't know about the minorial. Oh, I wonder. Because that's connected to the third person office of the debtor who actually pays for the trip that we go on together if we don't dip down lower. If we don't actually close out the air by putting our windows up, the windows being the eyes, windows to the soul being the windows I refer to through the eyes. So, eyes, we're gonna get back, but I'm being distracted by the three positions of a trust, which is why quasi-usufructs are the fructing of us based on our relationships, which goes back to this double booking accounting system that we're more familiar with in relation to Santa Claus, who goes through his list and he checks it twice to see who's been naughty and who's been nice. This is where we come in to the distinction between a debt and a credit. And with double booking accounting systems, you've got to balance the books, meaning both of those accounts, the ledgers need to balance, which means that there would be a deposit and an extraction simultaneously based on the convergence of a conversion. And so what do I mean by that in relation to the certificates to say that I am not certifiable? No, I am highly qualified in some things, not all things by any means. And this is where we need to see that confidence is situational. It is relational to that which we know, that which we are familiar with, that which we might even refer to as familiars. This is our intimate inner circle, and what is most close and precious to us that we may let know things about ourselves because of that built trust between us until that trust is broken, which is when the grantor creates the trust and then creates an executor to direct the responsible authority to manage the estate, which is the agent. They discharge the debt through the third person view of someone that doesn't even need to be involved, but is willing to pay the price, to pay the piper. My God, isn't this insane? The story of Saint Nick. Santa Claus being who some would say to be Saint Nick, but he was a saint, a man originally that served as a bishop that was very benevolent and had a generous spirit. So at Christmas time, when Christ masses, those worshiping Christ form masses carrying the mast of a cross to represent the double booking system we didn't realize was that. Oh my word. WYRD, fate or destiny. I got 10% battery because I didn't charge my phone last night or the night before, I don't believe. Which means I'm riding at 10% and I haven't really been using it too much because I've been writing, which is exactly what I'm going to do when I land. When I get to my grandparents' home that has been where I have lived since 2017 when I moved in because I thought I was going to have to declare bankruptcy. I was living on my own in Paris, Ontario, with my cat Julius Romeo at the time. And I went on 3 or 4 trips actually, because I went to see Carolyn Miss in Arizona at the Entrapped Resort, paying $3,000 just for my ticket, plus flights, rental car, and whatever else expenses were incurred by going on that trip, which my grandma encouraged. And I'm so grateful to her because that trip was so powerful because I wanted a picture with Carolyn, and I magnetize that which I desire when I'm clear on what I desire, unless I let someone in my inner circle deter my creative abilities, which is what I did when I went with a woman that had went to many of Carolyn's things. And she said, Carolyn doesn't do pictures. She's not going to do a picture with you. You're not going to get a picture. And so she was really working to see the fact that I was not going to get that which I felt I would. Until then, I then ride with her to this place. I've paid all this money to get to. And then I want a picture with the woman that I paid this much money to go to an event of and listen to for 3 days, largely, because that was what the curriculum was. And yeah, I paid $3,000 for that, and she refused me a picture 3 times, which changed my opinion of her to a point. Though I did also have breakfast or lunch one of the dinners with her, and she was wearing her pearls, and they represent pearls of wisdom, which takes me to the School of Bologna. So when people say Bologna, did you know that the original, the first School of Wisdom was actually Bologna, or in Bologna? The School of Bologna was the School of Wisdom. That's why we say Bologna. Anyway, I ate a meal with Carolyn, and I gained from the experience, and I gained from being denied the picture also. Now, what is also very fascinating is that this double booking counting a system, having not charged my phone nor made my charger handy while maneuvering the vessel that I am moving myself from one position to another position, one home base to another home base. While in this, I have low battery, but I want to make sure this doesn't get cut off and missed, because it is the mist of the air of us believing ourselves to be heirs to a kingdom that comes with a domain that requires a king and queen reign. That is not in our greatest and highest good, because it brings in monarchism, it brings in corporatism, it brings in all the isms that bring in ideas to form, which is what corporations do. I'm going by TSN and CTV now, with a Canadian flag flying also. We have to see the double booking system has a debt side and a credit side. On the debt side, that's the sin. That is the transgression that happens between people. When we transgress against one another, forgiveness or some kind of repentance and clearing the air is required in order to get that which muddied the waters out of the waters, right? That's heavenly. That's private. It's nobody's business. It's nobody in business has any business in getting involved in personal business between me and one that I need to clear the air with or that I want to connect with. I don't need a middleman. I don't need a middleman to come into what is most precious to me and most intimate to my heart, my private relations. I don't need a middleman. I don't need a contract to say that we're something, because in the scheme of things, I want to stay private. And it's ironic because so much of my identity has come from my public channel, where I have got to share my own healing journey since 2015 when I created it. And now I've got over 1,100 videos of me sharing videos that I was even questioning and sharing. And I did it anyway. And in the scheme of things, I've got evidence of all that I was standing for, suggesting, trying, doing throughout my whole journey. And I'm curious to get to go back to certain eras of my life and see where I was at and to know that part of me better. And I'm going to do that actually, but I'm going to keep it private until the lesson is extracted in order to then share it publicly, which, did you know, within this double booking accounting system is the ecclesiastical realm of the public? Ecclesiastical is church related, but we didn't know that. If you write on paper, you're connected to the papacy because it's papal. And the papal bulls were the official seals put onto documents to grant them ascension because of who deemed them worthy, which is why I'm starting a podcast called Weaving Intentional Interwebs, where we actually focus on developing our individual needs necessitate emotional resilience, resonance, and respect, as well as self-worth, self-esteem, self-belief, and inner security, while also talking about the counterfeit securities that are created in the likeness and image of the original, like in the ecclesiastical realm of debts and credit, that actually are the paper version of the original, because now we've told someone else and made it someone else's business to actually engage in business between us, who were private before now a third party got involved, and I told them all that I needed to actually just resolve with the one that I am with, right? So you have to repent, and that is through a penance, which is where penalty comes from. And this is where we also confess. This is where we invite a third party into a private dynamic that is now public. That's the debt. We were incorporated through our person. And person is not dangerous, though it is the measurement of a title, son being the title, per being the measurement system. But the debt is actually when then a deed, a trust instrument, or something within the counterfeit version of corporations, which are fourth dimensional in terms of mental constructs that we bring into the 3D by giving the entities our energy, which we receive payment for through a job. But that actually means that to do a job is to rob somebody who was private and then incorporated into the public through the entrapments that the professionals are trained to use against those who are unsuspecting. And that's how we accrue karma between one another, which is what the original debt is. A mark being a letter of mark, or a letter of reprisal, which is a letter of commission, which is when the sovereign made the man generally acting as a professional the ward of the system that he got paid by, because to do the job you have to work for the mob, which is the mob mentality of the hive mind, and that's collective consciousness. So it's been 14 and a bit minutes, nearly 15, of me riffing. I'd appreciate if you would like this video and leave a comment as to what it means to and for you and what you're going to do with it. I want to invite you to subscribe to my emails at piwu.ca. And I also invite you to actually join my Patreon and become a sponsor so that you can gain access to time with me that you pay to receive that which I have paid so much to receive and to move through in order to write the manual that shows you where you've been deceived through BS, belief systems that have been feeding off of your time, energy, effort, attention, and money, which are your team players. And I bring in the devil ears in that moment accidentally, just because of the way my fingers moved. And then I see, though, that Satanism is where the devil's horns and all that was shorn of those who had to conform to the norms of that cult, which is the foundation of culture, those who must make sacrifices in order to get cleared, makes absolutely no sense, and why we have been coming back into the simulation theory for as long as what we have. And I suggest that we seize hold of our pen and learn the common law is when we actually cause no harm, fraud, loss, and we agree to keep the peace. Simple tenets that don't require us become tenants to the public in order to keep. For a tenant is a principle, and a principle with an LE is different from a principle with an AL, because the AL is the AI. That is why the technocracy that we have been working with, Sabrina Wallace was speaking to the auric field being 80% of our immune system yesterday. I was watching a video that Jordy had flipped to, and Jordy Lishman is an amazing man who is just, I feel very grateful to get to share some of these ideas with, and yet it's hard to be with the one that is bringing forward the information that isn't safe yet because it's not grounded, which is what I'm in the process of doing and have been for the 2 years he and I have been intimately connected. And so it's so many levels of revelation that have been coming to me as I have been going into what all these Asians are. Asians being the foundation of the word, the root. It's actually the suffix, but it's the focal point of what it's getting added to make the thing something. And then we see the SUM of what gets included within that collective body of thought, the box that we check, all that thought that was written, that we are bound by when we conform to the identities of one-dimensional identities. Those hard to fit into when we are so much more, except for we have been, because we've been shorn of our dreams. It's called dream pleasing. I write of it in Stargate Logistics. Not in Stargate Logistics, they just happen to be going by. I wrote of it in what I am putting together and will be finishing by November 22nd as my personal deadline, because that was the day 2 years ago when I made a video to say I had woke up with the drop of the Justinian deception and its significance. And then I went questing, and I have found so much I am bringing back to you as a way shower, as a front runner of consciousness. I have gone down rabbit holes most don't make it out of to find the foxhole, because I was gifted it, and I quested, and I found, and I grounded that which rises from me, through me, and is given to me. Which is why, if you wish to gift me with a donation for my contribution to your consciousness, I would be gratefully appreciative. So, if you wish to do so. E-transfer is fantastic. And then I also have a GoFundMe project for the documentary that is being put together called How We Did It, where we call the scenes and then the characters come, which are us, and we film the scenes we want to see, and then we watch the films once put together, and we watch it how we did it, quite literally, that being its name, and then we cast a new spell. And I think that's very sane. So what do you think? Comment, donate, contribute, and take this. Whether you do any of that, you're not judged for it. I am resigned to the fact I have given freely for so long that now I just also put forward that getting supported would be really appreciated, because I have been supporting others freely for a long time, and it can be a very jading experience, I find, to be in need and not ask because of patterns. So I'm breaking my own, and I say thank you for whatever you wish to gift me with, and I send big love into your day. I say thank you. Namaste. I'm Laura J, and Gordon is one of my uncles. He just went by in the truck.